Welcome to the Influential Personal Brand Podcast. This is the place where we help mission-driven messengers just like you learn how to build and monetize your personal brand. My name is Rory Vaden, and I'm the co-founder of Brand Builders Group, a Hall of Fame speaker, and New York Times bestselling author. And this show is to help experts learn how to become more wealthy and well-known. I know you're going to love it. Thanks for being here. Let's get started.
Here's the truth that nobody ever told you before you started your business. If you don't know your numbers, you don't own a business. You have a hobby, and hobbies don't pay the bills. So let's talk about a few things when it comes to knowing the numbers. And I think that as an entrepreneur and as you are in your entrepreneurial endeavors, building and growing your personal brand, whether it's within a business or it's completely aside of your business, there's some things that are fundamentally important. And I think the numbers are a huge part of what people tend to shy away from. And it's whether because they don't understand them, or they're not the fun and exciting part of the business, or they're confusing. And it doesn't matter which category those fall into, those are dangerous places to be as you're growing and scaling a business or a personal brand. So there's a couple of quick things that I want to talk about. As a business owner, congratulations. You are also now a CFO. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't replace yourself one day, but at the end of the day, this is your business. And it's your business to know your numbers. You don't have to be a spreadsheet wizard. You don't have to be a CPA, and you didn't have to go to school in finance and accounting to know how to run your business. But you do have to know what's going on. So here's a couple of things. A quick checklist. Here are 3 things that you should be asking yourself in the most simplest standards of making sure that you have your ducks in a row when it comes to knowing your numbers. Number 1, how much money came in last month? Now, I know that is seemingly basic, and I cannot tell you how many 6, 7, and 8-figure businesses that I know personally where the owner of their business could not tell me how much money came in last month. Basic and important. Number 2, how much money went out, right? So how much came in, how much went out, and that's i.e. expenses. So how much did you bring in? How much did you spend? And then thirdly, how much is left over? Right? That's called revenue, expenses, net profit, right? But that's the simplest way to think about it. And at the very, very, very basic level, those are the 3 things that we have to know is how much came in last month, how much went out last month, and how much was left over. This is not about doing it all yourself, but it is about knowing what to do with the financial numbers and not outsourcing that and not looking at it because you don't want to, right? So that's step 1. Number 2, you got to have a system, right? So these are 4 quick systems checklist items that I will give you about how to get more intimately acquainted with your numbers in your business. Number 1, make sure that as a business owner that you have separate business and personal accounts. That's the first big no-no when creating some simple, basic financial guidelines in your business. Personal and business accounts have to be separated. I would say the same thing for credit cards. If you're going to choose to have credit cards in your business, then you need personal cards and you need business cards. You need a business account and you need a personal account. Make it easy on yourself for reconciliation. Do not mix and mingle the 2. I don't care how small you are. I don't care if you brought in $10 last month. Have it in a separate account. Okay. Second quick system to make sure that you have clean financials is make sure that you have monthly bookkeeping. If you have to start with something as simple as a spreadsheet to track what came in, what went out, and what we have left over, great. Then you can elevate to simple systems like Honeybooks, or we use QuickBooks Online. You don't have to have a bookkeeper, but you have to have bookkeeping. Now, at some point, it's going to behoove you to start with an outsourced bookkeeper. Then you can hire a full-time bookkeeper. Then you can hire a controller, and you can start building the financial engine of your company. But until then, you are the bookkeeper. You are the CFO. And so you've got to take control of this. You can fractionally outsource it. You can hire someone for 20 hours a week. You can hire a company, an individual. It doesn't matter. And you've got to have a bookkeeping system. Could be a spreadsheet, could be QuickBooks, but you got to have a system. Number 3, you have to have a tax planning strategy, not just a tax filing strategy. There is a difference between tax planning and tax filing, right? Tax planning has more to do with your entity structure and what are the different ways that we use the money, right? So it's making sure that you're set up the right way. It's making sure that you're best optimized to pay taxes in only the amount that you owe. So let me be clear here about taxes. I am not against taxes. I'm an American who lives in America and gets the great privilege of paved roads, paramedics, police officers, teachers, the fire department, red lights, stoplights. Those are things I greatly love about our country. And I am all about paying my fair share of taxes. I call it America's money, right? This is America's money, and I am happy to pay it. And I do not want to pay 1 cent more than I am supposed to. That is the difference between tax filing and tax planning. I want to pay every good cent that I owe to America to enjoy all the benefits that I get as an American. And I want to make sure that I'm not overpaying. I don't want to underpay. I want to pay my fair share. But I most certainly don't want to overpay because I didn't hire the right person. I didn't know what counted. I didn't know what was a deduction. I didn't know that I didn't have the right entity. Those are all things that are tax planning, right? And someone who files your taxes and someone who helps you with tax planning are two different people. You have to have two different thought trains on that. So what's my tax planning strategy versus who's just going to file my taxes? That's the third. And then the fourth is your profit, right? What's your plan for profits? Are you trying to make profits, right? I imagine you are if you're in a for-profit business. But you have to have a real monthly budget with revenue goals and expense limits, right? You likely won't hit your financial goals if you don't plan for them. And you likely won't hit the plan if you don't track it, right? So there has got to be a target of what we're going after. There has to be a budget. And that's a well-defined budget in lots of different arenas. And like I said, even if the budget is, hey, next month I can only spend $100 on my personal brand for X, Y, and Z reasons, that's a budget. Budgets don't have to be huge, but everyone needs a budget to make sure that you're spending and earning in ways that allow you to grow. The number one reason that most companies fail is they simply run out of money. Don't let your mission fail because you didn't plan for the basic fundamental essentials of financial planning, okay? Now, last but not least, I want to share just a couple of quick things of what smart entrepreneurs do. Not the only things, but a few things that they do to really help with this. Number one, make sure that you have, this is a best practice, make sure you have monthly financial review time in your calendar, right? I'm very much of a believer if it's not in your calendar, it won't happen. It won't get done. So make sure that you have monthly financial review time to review what came in, what went out, and what was left over to make sure that you have time to evaluate, do I have enough set aside for taxes, right? That's a part of the plan is budgeting. Like, hey, when money comes in, I have to set aside some for taxes because nobody wants to be hit with that surprise bill at the end of the year. Plan in advance. That requires time. So make sure that that time is in your schedule in advance every single month. The only reason that things get out of control is that you, who is in control of the money, stopped looking at the dollars and cents. So make time for that every single month. Number two, hire a bookkeeper to help you keep things straight, right? That comes at varying levels within your business. But with all the things that you have going on, I would say making sure that there is someone protecting the financial realms of your business, which is what helps you keep going, is one of the most important things for you to start with, right? It doesn't have to be full-time. Maybe you start with 5 hours a week. And then you grow from there. But most people think, oh, I need a VA, right? That might be true. But you also may want to look at, hey, I got to make sure that I have money coming in and I'm limiting money going out so there's money left over so that I can continue to do this next month, right? So weigh the pros and cons of who are the first people that you hire in order to keep the business intact. Number three, make sure that you're saving at least 20 to 30% of everything that comes in for taxes and also hopefully some profit left over, right? So a good rule of thumb based on what you're projecting come in, you can start with 20. We put aside 30% every single month of what's left over for taxes, right? And that is to make sure that we don't get hit with surprise bills and that we always have operating capital and that we never put ourselves in a cash flow crunch because we spent all the money that actually belonged to America. right? So make sure that you have those financial practices in place. And last but most certainly not least is make sure that you actually have a monthly P&L to review, right? Part of that time that you're going to set aside is going over your profit and loss statement, your P&L, but you actually have to have one, right? And if you don't know how to make one and you can't, then that's why those initial maybe first 5 hours that you hire out could be a bookkeeper, because this is what keeps you in business. This is what keeps you in motion. This is what allows your message to get out into the world, is that you have enough funds coming in that allow you to keep doing the thing that you feel like you've been called to do. All right. There's the art to this, and then there's the business side of this, right? And they're both necessary. And you don't have to, like I said earlier, you don't have to be a finance major. You don't have to be a CPA, and you don't have to be a spreadsheet wizard to know the basics. But you got to know the basics, because the basics are what are going to keep you running so that your message can get out to the people that it's meant to help.